All right. Welcome back, YouTube, to the GOATcast podcast. I am back. One and only Big Nige is here. Of course, I'm joined by my man CW. How we doing today, CW?
We doing pretty good. I'm trying not to be added to that injury list that's getting so long out there in that NBA world. But yeah, I'm doing good. Another week closer to Thanksgiving.
Yeah, I'm ready for that Thanksgiving food for sure. I know, speaking of injuries, reason why I was gone for 2 weeks, had an issue with my ribs and my back. So I'm getting that worked on behind the scenes, but I'm back now. I'm feeling better, and that's the most important thing. Unlike some of these other NBA players, they're going through it.
Mm.
Um, but a team who's been pretty devoid of injuries. We'll talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers and what a surprise this team has been. Starting this season 12-0, they're the number one ranked offense.
Let me try to fix my.
Okay,
Uh, but you keep going.
yeah, but yeah, number one ranked offense. While CW's having his technical difficulties, I believe they're a top five team on defense as well. But this is crazy, man. I mean, just what we've seen from Kenny Atkinson. I guess you could say the upgrade in coaching, how they looked with Bickerstaff last year, how they look with Kenny Atkinson. I think it's safe to say that he's unlocked something in this team. And I say team because, last year we kind of just looked at it as like the Donovan Mitchell show and a lot of awkward parts that weren't fitting. We had questions about Garland and Mitchell's fit together. I had questions about Mobley and Jared Allen's fit together, but it just shows you a good coach can spell for a lot of issues you may think you have as a basketball team. And and man, Evan Mobley has looked great this season. I'm talking about putting the ball on the floor, stepping out and trying to hit a few jump shots, but the pace that this team is playing, and I mean it's night and day from last season. I don't have the advanced stats in front of me, but they are a much better pace team. They're faster, they get the ball up the court, they're sharing the ball, they trust one another, they're talking more on defense. They're just a really scary team. And just some stuff out here for you guys. This is the best start since the 2015-2016 Warriors, who went on to win 24 straight in lieu of their 73-91 season. This is
yes.
the second time in Cavs history where they've had a 7-0 or better start to a season. And they are one win currently from this recording from tying their franchise record. Before I get into their next few games to see where me and CW think they could lose their first game of the season, what are your thoughts on the Cleveland Cavaliers? Are they for real?
I think they are for real. They're one of the few teams that has something that is missing a lot of time today. They have two perennial all stars in their backcourt and two perennial all stars in their front court. They got two guys, two bigs that are willing to defend and score and can put up buckets. They have the best field goal percentage in the league, number one offense, the best 3-point shooting team in the league. Yeah, I don't know what Kenny Atkinson did, but whatever he did, they bought in. Karis LeVert's been solid off the bench. I think his name Ty Jerome, something like that. He's been good. Yeah. So they have all the pieces. They have a great core that starts, and they have great pieces coming off the bench. So I think they're for real. They remind me some of last year's New York Knicks, where they're really hot, but we haven't seen them have a really bad shooting night or really, kind of have a down game. And that's where I think we'll truly see if this team is for real, is when they struggle to make those 3-point shots. When they have to rely more on their inside game with Jared Allen, Evan Mobley, who have both been great so far this season. I said in my division rankings that I thought that Cleveland would probably look to move Jared Allen at some point, because I felt like those two were kind of redundant. Mobley could do the same things Jared Allen can do, but maybe a little bit better. But when you have two guys that are that good and they are playing good together, they don't mess each other up with spacing or anything like that, you definitely want to keep that. So I just think they're a well constructed team. I think a lot of the Eastern Conference, when I was going through those divisions, have taken a huge step back. I think the Pacers were fool's gold last year. In some ways, the New York Knicks were slightly fool's gold because they can't replicate what they did last year. Does that mean that Julius Randle made that much difference? I don't think so. I mean, Cat's been good, but a lot of those teams are taking a step back. You look at Milwaukee, who has taken a huge step back, and the Sixers just haven't had their players out there. So, you see teams emerging that you probably wouldn't think, like Charlotte and a team like Charlotte. Trying to think who else is doing pretty good. Not
The Brooklyn
Toronto.
Nets.
Yeah, the Nets are playing better than Cam Thompson's out there balling. So I think because the Eastern Conference has kind of taken a step back, Cleveland has shown them that they can accelerate. Boston doesn't have their full team yet, so we can't really say anything about them. But everybody else, and even Milwaukee, they don't have Chris Middleton, but how much of a difference is he going to make for that team? So I think they've hit their stride at the right time. They're winning games they should early, which is going to help them as they go along. There will be nights where they just don't hit the three, and they'll probably lose. They're not the best defensive team out there, so that's going to be some trouble for them going forward when they play some deep teams, whether it be Western Conference or Eastern Conference. But I think they're poised to be a conference finals team because the other teams just aren't well constructed. Barring any kind of crazy injuries, they're going to be. I think they're going to be there as long as they can kind of avoid Boston on their way to the conference finals. I think they'll be there, and they're just a good team. They're just so far they're well coached. So far everybody's playing their role the right way.
I echo a lot of the same things CW said about the Cleveland Cavs. I will say that they don't have Max Strus yet. So what is he going to look like? That should give them a bolster to their 3-point shooting. He can give you a little bit on defense, but he's no ball stopper, nothing like that. But he should help with the shooting department. But just looking at their upcoming schedule, they have the 76ers tomorrow. I would think that should be a win. Then they got the Bulls Friday as part of their, I think, first in-season tournament game.
They just beat them.
They just beat them, albeit it was a close game, and it kind of came down to the wire. But they did pull it out through, which is another thing to point out for this team is they've won in a multitude of different ways. They've won close games. They blew the Lakers off the floor. I mean,
now they did do that.
They've just been very good, and they've won different ways. So that's another thing to point out, especially this early in the season. Getting those kinds of wins early can boost your confidence. Boost camaraderie around the team when you got your bench players producing and your starters producing. It's almost like everybody's eating, and there's no crumbs left at the table. So with that, you also got them playing the Hornets on Sunday, the 17th. And then they got the Celtics on the 19th. And I stopped right here because I think this is when I believe that the Cavs will take their first loss. It's in Boston. I'm not going to say it's impossible for them to win in Boston because we just saw the Golden State Warriors do it, and they played their tails off. But there was no Jaylen Brown. I have to throw that out there. But I think that's where the Cavs will take their first loss of the season.
I say don't sleep on Charlotte. Charlotte's played better than I expected them. I knew they'd be a fun team to watch because they're young. They got some, highlight reel type players with LaMelo, Brandon. Can't think of the other player I'm thinking about, but they have some good talent. They're just not built for, no long playoff run. They can maybe make the plays. But I think there'll be a tough matchup for Cleveland because they can get out there and run with them. But yeah, if I'm a betting man, I'd say Boston because they are in Boston and they're the defending champions. They're a solid team. Everybody's there that can be there. Missing Porzingis hasn't been that huge of a factor so far. They're still a great defensive team, and they have so many weapons on that team from the starters to the bench that I think that if Cleveland's not on the A game, they'll lose. But I still think they can extend this winning streak for a while. I think just because they have that firepower that can just disrupt defenses. They have great front court, and that's the key nowadays. If you don't have that, you can't. I don't think you can get far. So I can see them losing to the Celtics, but I wouldn't put a whole lot of money on them losing in the next, I'd say, 4 or 5 games. And of course, my
got some more technical difficulties from CW, but I was going to pose the question to him, so I'll pose a question to y'all. With Joel Embiid coming back, there he is. Do you think his return could stifle the record of the Cleveland Cavaliers? Do you think he's that big of an impact where he'll take this sorry remnant of the 76ers and take them above the Cavs and even further throughout the regular season? Mind you, no back-to-backs.
Are you saying for the whole rest of the season? Can he be the factor that gets the Sixers over the Cavs?
Not over I'm just saying tomorrow's game when they play them.
Oh, okay.
When he does return.
He ain't playing
I think
tomorrow.
He's returning tonight, but
yeah. So he ain't gonna play tomorrow. So that's an easy. I
forgot about that. I forgot he don't play back to back. So that's
so he ain't playing tomorrow. So even if I would say he would bolster. He's going to bolster that Sixers team, but is it enough to where it's going to beat a Cleveland right now? He'd have to really bolster him in a way. He'd have to be Jokic out there, and I don't think he's Jokic level right now. And even then, his supporting cast is good, but no Maxey. Paul George is still kind of working his way into the scheme of the team. I just don't think that. I don't think he's the answer right now. I think it's going to take him a few games to get back into regular season shape, and I think he's going to be a guy that he'll get his numbers, but it's not going to be as impactful as it would be if he had been playing from the beginning. So, I think Cleveland runs all over him. And I mean, coming back and your first matchup is Jared Allen and Evan Mobley. That's not ideal. And even tonight, who they play? Who they play? They play.
Let me see.
I just looked it up.
They're playing the Knicks tonight.
So yeah, you got to guard Cat. So I mean,
Cat got to guard him too, though. So that should be food on the other end. So
yeah, but that's for you. This to be your first game since preseason. Having to run Cat off the 3-point line and take on the scoring duties is not going to be fun for Joel Embiid, especially with Maxey out, because I'm waiting to see what Paul George will do. Let's just say that
he needs to step his game up. But speaking of some games, we got the NBA Cup. It's back. They've kind of just rebranded it as the NBA Cup instead of like the infamous in-season tournament, which you could call either one at this point. It doesn't really matter. I just was surprised at the name personally. But for those who don't remember, I'll try to make this quick. So all 30 teams have been randomly drawn to a group of 5 within their conference based on win-loss records from last season, which was the 2023-2024 season. Beginning today and continuing through December 3rd, Tuesday, each team will play 4 designated group play games on cup nights, i.e. tonight, which we'll talk more about the cup, some of these cup games tonight that are currently going on as of this recording. 1 game against each opponent in its group, and 2 games at home, 2 games on the road. That way it's fair. That way you can really see how you stack up with an even playing field against your competition. Then 8 teams will advance to the knockout rounds, and the team with the best standing group play games in each of the 6 groups and 1 wild card team from each conference And the wild card team will be the team from each conference with the best record in the group play games that finished second in its group. So that's it in a nutshell. Pretty much they play each other. Whoever gets the best record, as we see in these conferences, and we'll about to break down each group and who we got coming out of each group, and then we'll get into further into the cup games later. But essentially, it's the same as last year. So if you don't remember, we saw, the emergence of some players like Tyrese Halliburton. He came onto the scene and bust Boston's, bust Milwaukee's, the
Yeah.
list goes on until
Bulls
they
go.
eventually got folded by the Lakers by that man back there behind me. So that's just what it is. We got the Lakers coming back. Are they going to defend their crown this year? Gotta gotta
Yeah.
wait and see on that.
Defend their prestigious title. Yeah, let's see.
But to start, we'll start out west because the East is pretty god awful. I think we all can agree right now. Maybe not in the postseason when that comes, but right now the East is pretty butt. So West A, Minnesota, we got the Clippers, Kings, Rockets, Blazers. Who you got coming out of West A, CW?
West A should be. That's a good little crop of teams. Sacramento has been very disappointing so far this season. I don't know if the addition of I haven't really watched them that closely, but I don't know if DeMar DeRozan is disrupting their chemistry or something, but they have not looked nearly, or from what I've seen from stats and things of that nature, they haven't looked like the team that I thought they would be. My Spurs smacked them last night, so kudos to the GOAT. But out of this group, I could see the Rockets actually coming out of this group because the Timberwolves, I'm not sold on them. They'll play great one game, and then the next game they'll look completely lost out there. Julius Randle has been playing pretty good, but he doesn't fit that group. He just really, to me, does not fit with them. The Clippers, they haven't been bad either. They've been okay. The Blazers are terrible, so we won't even suggest them. But I could see the Rockets, but if I have to say, I would think Minnesota maybe, with the Kings being my backup for that. But I see a sleeper like the Rockets getting out of that West A.
For me, this one's tough. I'm gonna defend Julius Randle real quick because I did see potential in his fit with this team back when they played against the Dallas Mavericks, and it was a pretty ugly game. But Julius Randle, I mean, we talk about not missing a three that game. That he was unconscious out there, just throwing up anything and everything, and it was going in. Right. That's obviously not what I'm referring to. I'm more referring to like his rebounding and his playmaking. I think doing those kinds of things where Cat maybe wasn't the best playmaker, not the greatest rebounder, can definitely get you a double-double any given night, but it's just the physicality. I think Randle has the edge in that. And seeing that, especially in a matchup against a gritty Dallas Mavericks team, it definitely showed. So I'm gonna give him a little props there. Having said all that, I got the Clippers, man. I think
Clippers. What?
Listen, man. I just the Clippers, they're a interesting yet really dangerous team, right? And I'm not putting a lot of stock. I mean, look, Norman Powell. Whoever's got Norman Powell stocks right now, for all my parlay players out there, you better hit that man up, bro. Because I forgot what's the graphic that he's got like 10 straight 20-point games or something like that, or something
like
out
that.
there.
I wish I had him on my fantasy league team.
If you didn't get him on your fantasy team,
it's
gonna be rough. But he's been playing very good. I like what I'm seeing from Harden. I mean, maybe could be a little bit better in other areas. They haven't fully clicked offensively, but they've looked pretty solid on defense, which is a question mark that I had going into this season. I don't really trust. Like, I trust Anthony Edwards is the best player in this group, in my opinion. But again, I don't trust the prerequisite parts with him to carry them over the edge, because I think a team like the Clippers feels like they're more hungry. They have nothing to lose. Kawhi Leonard is out indefinitely. And
as
so I
usual.
just think this something like this could motivate those guys on the Clippers to propel them to obviously getting out of West A, in my opinion, but even further because they have the young pieces. They have, those hungry guys who have something to prove. Norman Powell, even an older James Harden. Zubac is down there doing work.
He's been
We
playing
got a
good.
lot of things for this group that is just, to me, speaking that the Clippers are going to win it because, like you said, no one trusted Trailblazers. The Rockets are good. Big shout out to I think it's Tari Easton. He's been looking
Mhm,
like a
mhm.
two-way
Yeah.
lockdown
Yep.
specimen out there. So I gotta give him his love too. But not super sold on them. The Kings are solid. They're a good team and they're definitely a sleeper team. And I'm not a big fan of Minnesota. I do like what I'm seeing from Ant, the volume in which he's shooting his threes and the
Mhm.
percentages. All of it looks good, but I just don't trust the others like I trust the Clippers, who has more experience playing with each other and they understand how to get it done. Um, and with that, now we go over to West B. We got, we got my boys, the Lakers, got the Suns, OKC, Utah, and the Spurs. And since both of our teams are technically in there, I'm gonna start with this one because it's gonna be very quick, very short. All right, it's gonna be OKC, and I don't
Mm.
really want to say this because listen, because I understand they're out three of their center rotations. No
Yeah.
Chet, no Jalen Williams, and no Isaiah Hartenstein. All right. They are small. All right. But when you look at this West B, outside of Anthony Davis, who's really gonna punish you in the post? LeBron James, Anthony Davis, of course. Victor Wembanyama, I understand he's 7'4". He doesn't play like a big man. He can obviously do some things around the basket, but he is very perimeter oriented. That's his biggest flack. The one thing you can knock about Wemby, he shoots a lot of threes and he don't
Too
make very
many.
many.
Too many.
And so with that, with OKC being as deep as they are, as poised as they have been playing throughout this regular season, I just can't see a team in this West B taking them out consistently. Like, yes, I have the Lakers. I would honestly have the Suns if Kevin Durant didn't just
KD's
go
out.
down.
Yeah.
But with KD out, nobody gives a crap about the Utah Jazz. The Spurs are respectable, but still
Mm.
they aren't the best shooting team. Like they need to address some more pieces and get more shooters around Wemby to really unlock his game and convince him to stop shooting so many threes, please. But
Yeah.
I just don't have much stock in the Lakers because their defense is pretty putrid at times, especially on the perimeter. I mean, Anthony Davis can do so much in the paint, but when you're giving up backdoors and Olay defense, conga lines to the basket,
Mhm.
I just can't put much stock in you. So I'm gonna have to go with OKC.
I want to say OKC, but without Chet or Hardenstein or any of their bigs, it's going to be a tough hill to climb against AD, who's been playing so well. I don't have. If my Spurs were playing a little bit better, they're getting better, but they're just hit and miss. I mean, Wemby taking 12 threes is ridiculous for a 7'4" guy, but he took 12, I think, against Sacramento last night. Um, Something like that. Yeah. So so I don't think the Spurs will be. They'll win. They might can win a game or two, but I don't think they'll be a challenge. If KD hadn't gone down, this would have been a great group to really watch. This would be some exciting basketball. But I have to give it to the Lakers, the defending champs, because I just think as long as they're healthy, I think their game translates better to winning these type of games. OKC missing Chet, I think it's going to be a big thing for them. I don't think the Lakers have the defense to stop OKC, but I just think they have the player that can offset that can score 30 something points, whereas Shea can't do it alone. And then you have LeBron back there that can get you 20 something. So I think that's just going to offset what OKC can do right now with their current personnel. So I think the Lakers will they'll have some good games against, I think, San Antonio, which is coming up Friday, and I think OKC will be a good game for them. But I think ultimately no KD for Phoenix. Utah looking like the worst team in the NBA. Lloyd Markkinen taking a step back this season so far from what I've seen of him. Uh, I just think the Lakers are the team that, as long as they stay healthy, I don't see any of those teams beating them. I think they'll win some close games, and I think it'll be close between them and OKC. But I think ultimately they get out of West B.
More to come on that one for sure. We got West C, and in my opinion, this is probably the most talented group in the Western Conference. You got four legitimate contenders to come out of that West C. Not talking about postseason contenders, just contenders to come out the West C. Make myself clear. But you got Denver, who's come on strong these past few games. Looked a little slow, looked a little old, in Stephen A's words, not mine. But they've definitely picked it up. Jokic is looking like video game numbers, best player in the world, no doubt. Even getting his steals up, getting his hand in that cookie jar, Cookie Monster. What he called himself in the post game interview. So you got Dallas, what they've got, what they bring to the table, and you got Memphis Grizzlies. Obviously Ja Morant. I think he's day to day, week to week with that injury. I think it was to his hip. Is a hip
Yeah,
injury or
I
yeah.
think it's hip.
But yeah, he's week to week. But that team's looked very good. Players, Zach Edey's come on. Aldama's looking really good. Scottie Pippen Jr. is looking great. Jaren Jackson Jr. is carrying the load on offense. Still no Desmond Bane. He's out with injury. That's another person on the injury bug. Unfortunate. Marcus Smart, which he's perpetually injured, so I'm not even counting on him at this point. But, they look good. But the best team, the team that's looked the best in this group, that's the Golden State Warriors, baby. They have looked outstanding on both ends of the floor. Buddy Hield, right now, I think he's shooting like 50-50, 90 splits. I think he's shooting like 51% from the three-point line right now. That is insane, right? And he's playing a little defense. I give him all the flack in the world. When I said that when you swap him and Clay, you're basically getting the same thing. You get wild inconsistency and virtually no defense. He's made me a believer. Now, am I going to say he's going to make 50% of his threes all year? Absolutely not. Is he going to look serviceable on defense all year? Probably not. But we're talking about right now, striking when the iron's hot. Looking at how they're looking on defense, with Draymond Green, being the catalyst on that defense and instilling new defensive, ideologies with this core, they look to me poised to come out of West C, right? They can match up with Denver. They can match up with Dallas, and they can just outright out-talent Memphis, in my opinion. And I didn't bring up the Pelicans because no Zion Williamson. He's out for an extended period of time. I think is it hamstring? I think it was a hamstring injury for Zion. Ain't no telling at this point. Ozempic Zion is not the truth. We need to see more from Zion, and unfortunately, we just see him on the injury list more than we see him in MVP conversations. So I have the Golden State Warriors. That supporting cast looks really good. Again, Buddy Hield gets my tip of the hat. He's been playing out of his mind, and I just have them slightly coming out of West C.
Yeah, West C, if there weren't injuries, would be a murderer's row of teams to have to get through. The Pelicans should change their logos to either a hospital bed or a crutch because they got so many people out. Well, same could be said for Memphis. So, unfortunately, we don't get to see these teams at their full strength, which would have been really, really good basketball for that. I mean, that's the most unfair group out of all of them so far. And yeah, I'm gonna echo a lot what you said. Golden State's looking really good. Dallas, I think, is looking a little disappointing. Luka didn't look right at first. He kind of got into Luka form, and then he's still kind of hit and miss. Denver had a tough first couple of games, but have, I think, gotten it together. Jokic is playing like a 4-time MVP, which if he continues this, he should be. And actually, they've looked better without Jamal Murray and some of their starters. Aaron Gordon's out, so a lot of these teams are missing pieces, and it's just not the full whole team. So with that said, I do agree slightly with you with Golden State. They've just looked like a poised team that you know you could plug and play players in, and they can make it seem like you're watching the Golden State of old in some ways. So I like that. I have to give props to Steve Kerr. I was very down on Steve Kerr for the last probably 2 years. I said they need to let him go, but he's coaching this year. So I don't know what he's a player's type of coach. I don't know what he's telling them. I don't know if he's like, I'm gonna get y'all something after this win or whatever. But whatever he's doing is working, and they're really playing with they're playing with a lot of aggression. You look at Kaminga, guys like that are playing very aggressive, and I think that's kind of thrown punches at teams where they just aren't ready for that, and they're playing solid defense as well, which I didn't expect them to do, losing Clay and having this a lot of the same pieces from last year. So I think with that said, they have the best team to come out of West C with Dallas not playing as well as they could, Denver missing pieces, Memphis and New Orleans, but I want to say Dallas is going to get it together and win West C. We saw a great close game between them and Denver. I think it was Sunday. But I think Luka and them are going to play with a chip on their shoulder. I think they want to win something. They got to the NBA Finals last year, couldn't get it done. They've got a lot of hype going behind them. I think they want to win something. So I think they'll take the in-season tournament or NBA Cup, whatever you want to call it. They'll take it serious, and I think they'll take it.
I have a question I'm going to bring up at the end of this. More suited. I'm going to let you think on it, but should contenders should they prioritize the in-season tournament? If you go all the way, and most of these games or all these games minus the championship game is incorporated into the season. But if I'm a contending team, should I want to go all the way, add that wear and tear on my team and my players for one additional game on top of a lengthy postseason run? So I'm gonna come back to you on that
Okay.
one,
Okay. Oh.
and we're gonna continue to go through the Eastern Conference. I'm gonna let you start with East A, or I
Oh
should say
man.
least A, because these have some disappointing teams up in here. Not for the
So
most part, but there are some two heavy hitters in here who have been disappointing to say the least. But I'll let you start.
So you're gonna give me the worst groups to start with. I mean, East A should be good, but once again, ravaged by injuries. No Paulo, Embiid just coming back, but no Maxi right now. Paul George kind of worked himself into, I guess, a fit for Philly, and the Knicks playing decent basketball, but they underachieving so far this season. Brooklyn looking pretty good. Cam Thomas and them, looking solid. The Hornets, I think, are a solid team. They're a good, fun team to watch, but they're just not, they're not a playoff or a deep run team. Out of these five teams, I have to see how Embiid looks tonight. That will tell me what I need to know. If Embiid looks okay and him and Paul George kind of have some kind of synergy, I think they can win it. But I'm going with a crazy pick. I picked the Charlotte Hornets to get out of East A just because I like their young core. I think they want to win something. They want something for that city of Charlotte, and I think they'll ramp it up. I think they can beat any of these teams on any given night. So I think just judging from these teams and how they are hit and miss, I'm going with the home team. I'm going with the Charlotte Hornets, making us look good for once.
Yeah, I don't share that sentiment as much as I would love to root for the Charlotte Hornets. No, I just don't see that happening. I would honestly pick Brooklyn over Charlotte if I was picking
Nah.
one of them underdog teams. But let's just get into this real quick. New York hasn't been it's been very underwhelming. Offensively, Mikal Bridges changing his jump shot has definitely been a detriment to that team. There's even a graphic out there about how he's not, navigating screens correctly, and it's in large part Carl Anthony Towns, man. There's a graphic out there that the percentage of players going to the rim and making shots on Carl Anthony Towns in the painted area, I think it's like almost 90 something percent, 91%. They're making pretty much everything with Carl Anthony Towns down there. So with that, we have it puts more pressure on the guards. You can't have OG Anunoby and Mikal Bridges, who are your best perimeter defenders, but if they can just, if they have to rely on drop coverage because you can't switch Karl Anthony Towns on the perimeter, so you have to hope that they send their players to Karl Anthony Towns to give him a better chance at being a passable defender on that end. But if he's your last line of defense, we've already seen in the early days of Minnesota, it's not going to get it done. You need that Mitchell Robinson, you need that Rudy Gobert type big who's the last line of defense so that Karl Anthony Towns can play just serviceable enough defense on the front line to spell for, when people get blown by, things of that nature. So obviously no Paulo for the Magic, not high on the Knicks because of things I just mentioned. The 76ers, them to me, I think they have the best chance of coming out of East A, mainly
Really?
because I don't think most of the games they play are back to backs, even for the group plays, because you got to think it's Tuesdays and Thursdays. So
I thought it was Fridays, Tuesdays and Fridays.
I thought it was Tuesdays and Thursdays, but regardless of these cup games aren't on back to backs.
Yeah.
Now there might be some games in between, and that could cause some confusion and some kind of disarray with my pick, but I'm still going to lean on the 76ers. They still have a deep team. They still have a lot of serviceable players. These players are getting used to one another, but it's one thing to play for the regular season, and it's another thing to kind of play for something, play for an NBA type cup when they have vets and they have young pieces, right? They have a good combination where it could work out. There could be enough motivation for both parties to kind of get things done. With maybe a shaky Joel Embiid working his way back into the shape. Paul George, you have to give me something, dog. Like we're seeing remnants of pandemic P right now. We need more from Paul George, and I expect him to give us more as the season goes on. Tyrese Maxey being out with injury, that's unfortunate, especially since he was probably the most consistent player on that floor, even with Paul George coming back, obviously. But, got to see more from him. And that team will definitely flush together. It'll mesh together when they get Joel Embiid back. So I have them coming out of East A.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I just need to see how Joel looks. If he looks like normal Joel Embiid, not early Olympics Joel Embiid, or some of last year's Joel Embiid that was came back a little slower. I don't know, but if he comes back and he's in MVP shape and MVP form, of course, because none of those teams have anything to stop him. So, as long as Paul George gives you something, and some of those other players for the Sixers, Caleb Martin, those guys, Kelly Oubre, if they give you something, that's not going to be a game because Embiid's just unstoppable, and none of those teams have an Embiid stopper. So, if he comes back looking like Joel Embiid can look, then yeah, it's the Sixers to lose.
I think we have least B. We have the Milwaukee Bucks, the Indiana Posers. I'm not going to continue, but all these teams in East B have been pretty underwhelming. I think the most impressive team, and it's sad to say, is the Detroit Pistons. Man.
Yes.
That is, I never thought I'd say that, in good health, that the Detroit Pistons is the best team in this Group B right now, and that is sad. We've already seen the train wreck that is Milwaukee Bucks. Indiana's definitely taking a step back, like you said.
Big time.
Miami, they just especially Jimmy Butler. He just looks so disinterested in this
Yeah, he
team.
don't care. I think he's 1 foot out the door.
You got Miami being, I think, statistically the worst team in the NBA in the third quarter. They were floating around calling it third quarter. So you got that with that mesh of garbage. I think Toronto, they lost Scotty Barnes to injury for at least for indefinitely. He's out with injury bug too. So,
Yeah,
you know,
and they were a
obviously the
scrappy
Bucks
team too. But
in the Bucks never even had Middleton all season. I was expecting him. He was day to day. He was only supposed to miss like 1 or 2 games, and he's still not coming back. And even with him back, he don't help them. There's a plethora of things to go on about Milwaukee. Even though Detroit doesn't look great, it's just because the other teams in this group look so bad. I'm gonna have to give them to him.
ooh,
Even
we
as
go to
wild,
Detroit.
I'm giving it to Detroit, baby. Listen, man.
Oh, well, you can't say that about my Charlotte pick if you going with
Listen,
Detroit.
listen. All right. But hear me out, because as as bad as they are, because they are a bad team, they have made improvement.
Yeah,
I
they
can't
have.
really say I can't say that about any of these other teams. And I'm not basing my pick of just because Detroit made marginal improvements that they are just better than all these teams, because they're not. But if we're talking about a tournament style play, NBA Cup
Yeah,
style
yeah,
environment,
I agree. Yeah,
I think Detroit's got it.
they can
And
get a
it's
win
not
on
going to
any
be
night. Yeah,
and it's not going to be pretty. But I think when it comes down to the wire, nobody cares about Toronto. Miami is disinterested. Could they beat Detroit? Sure. But again, inconsistent. The Pacers aren't stopping anything, not even a cold. And Milwaukee is a train wreck. Giannis and Dame can give me 50 points apiece, and they're still going to lose by 20.
I'll say this. I mean, Giannis is going to play up to the circumstances. He was one of those guys like Halliburton that played hard for the in-season tournament last season, so he's going to play hard. And you look at his numbers, he's been a beast this season. His team just hasn't matched his energy. I can see them coming out. But the thing about Detroit, I can't remember the guy. Was it Duran or Duran?
Yeah,
That
Jalen Durant.
center. Yeah,
Mhm.
that guy he's on my fantasy league team. That guy's a beast. He's a walking double double, and he's been playing fairly good basketball for Detroit. And as you said, Detroit's look, I'm not gonna say really good, but they've looked pretty good so far this season. And I think they're kind of like Charlotte. They're a team that on paper doesn't look good, but you get in a game, they can beat you. We saw them what they did to the Lakers. So Detroit
Don't remind me.
Detroit is a team that can put buckets up. Number one, Kate Cunningham has been beastly so far this season as well. He's also my fantasy league team. And just the other teams, just like you said, they just don't. The Pacers just don't look right. Miami doesn't care. Raptors. No, Scotty Barnes. Who they gonna lean on? RJ Barrett. So yeah, I just think this is going to come down to Detroit and Milwaukee. Surprisingly, even Milwaukee with only 2 wins, I think Giannis is going to play like he wants. Like the in-season, the NBA Cup is the NBA championship, and he's going to go out there and since he hasn't been able to play in the playoffs, it's going to be his playoffs for this year. He's going to go out there and almost kill himself to get wins. So I could see him, just putting the team on his back and getting wins. I'm gonna slightly give it to Milwaukee just because Giannis is the difference maker. If we're going to give it to Embiid over in the East A, I'm gonna give it to Giannis to get that Bucks team on the right track when it comes to these games that to some matter. I mean, to us, I don't know if the NBA Cup matters, but to him, it seems to matter. So I see
Yeah.
Milwaukee walking away with the East B.
Okay. Just for the record, CW has Milwaukee, who should win, and I have Detroit, who I think will probably win. Even though they could lose, I think they'll win. We're going to get into our last least C, and we have the best 2 teams in the Eastern Conference, and then a bunch of Joe Schmo teams. Got the Boston Celtics, we got the Cleveland Cavs, and these other teams, Chicago can hang with the best of them. Of course, we just saw how close they came to beating the Cavs. Atlanta and Washington, they have slight improvements in their roster and in the offense and even on defense for their respective ball clubs. But again, they don't hold a candle to the Celtics or the Cavs when they're on their A game. So to me, it's a two-horse race. It's who wants it more. And it kind of goes into that question I was asking you earlier about, should Boston really prioritize an in-season tournament win when you're putting more wear and tear on Tatum and Brown, Drew Holiday, Derek White, guys of that nature. And it's just, to me, I think Cleveland is going to be the team that comes out. I just think they're younger. They got more to prove than Boston. And I just don't think Boston really cares. Like, we saw them lose to the Pacers last year, and it was a competitive game, but I just saw Boston take their foot off the gas. And I think they'll, for the regular season aspect, they'll beat on, most of these teams, Chicago, Atlanta, Washington, of course, because they stink compared to Boston. But when you talk
Don't
about
pick
the Cleveland
Atlanta.
matchup, Atlanta is cool, but like, again, like, just
They're my sleeper for this group, but yeah, I mean, it's obviously a two-horse race, like you said. But what does Boston need this for? I mean, they're defending champions. They're trying to get another banner hung. They don't want a NBA Cup banner. They want they want to get that gap between them and the Lakers up more. So winning a meaningless in-season tournament that's just mostly to try to garner some type of interest in the game isn't worth it. So I don't think the Boston Celtics will care. They'll try to win. They'll try to win, but they're not going to worry about going all out for a in-season tournament. I think Cleveland will, because that's going to kind of show their dominance. This group is pretty easy for them. I don't see, even though they struggled a little bit against Chicago, but I don't think, like I said, the sleeper team I see is Atlanta. Jordan Poole is playing, fairly well for Washington, but that team is just abysmal as well. So this is Cleveland's group to lose if they so do it. But if they're looking at keeping guys healthy and not trying to overplay or do too much, they may just bow out. But I just don't see Boston taking the NBA Cup serious. So I don't think they'll care about winning enough for them to go all out and try to, maybe they want to try to show Cleveland that they're the top dogs, but I don't think they will. I think they'll save that for when it really matters.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I don't see a scenario where, if, say, Boston were to, go all out and try and actually, come out on top of this for this NBA Cup, and they put that extra wear and tear on their bodies. I mean, we've already seen Jaylen Brown kind of in and out of the lineup because of injuries. Kristaps Porzingis is obviously, he's perpetually hurt. He's out until January. So, like, you just don't want that risk factor to play in when you're trying to compete and repeat for your crown, obviously. So I don't think Boston should prioritize it. I think if Boston wants to, like I said, take care of business for these regular season games, cool. But when it comes down to it, they'll probably just fall asleep at the wheel again and just lose to one of these teams, and just go home and get ready for the games that actually matter to them.
Yeah, get that day off. They'll deserve it. They need it.
So that's pretty much going to wrap up today's video. We didn't go super high in depth for these predictions. Trying to get CW, get him where he needs to go today. And
well, I mean, I'm okay now.
You're okay. Oh, so she took him up.
Okay. My prior engagement I don't have to do right now.
Okay. Well, then I'll wrap the show up. Let me pull up these group games. There's quite a bit going on today.
Yeah,
so
there's a lot of games.
I'm gonna just, just like how we did with the NBA Cup and the group plays, we're gonna just kind of quickly go through these games that are on currently right now. So if some of you guys are probably watching them as we speak, but I'll just start. My Pistons are going ahead and got the lead on Miami right now. It's 49-53. Pistons are up. You got the Pistons or you got Miami coming back. This is in Detroit, by the way. So it's 49-53. Second quarter is almost over. 58 seconds left.
I'm biased because I have 2 Detroit Pistons on my fantasy league, and I need them to do well. So Detroit will continue to beat down the Miami Heat. I think Miami played last night. So, yeah. So I got Detroit coming out.
All right. And I'm going to lean more toward Miami. I think Miami's just going to come out and take this one from them. I mean, I'm still picking Detroit. Don't get it twisted, but I just think tonight, I think Miami is going to steal this one on the road. So the next game got Hawks Celtics. I think me and you both know. Right now the score is 63-54. Boston's leading, and it's in Boston, so nothing really to talk about here. Boston's game to lose, in my opinion.
Slight work.
We got the Hornets against the Magic. Magic are at home, obviously. It's 58-44. They're beating the brakes off the Hornets as we speak, with a minute left to go in the second quarter. You got the Hornets coming from behind? Or?
Well, there goes my prediction for the Charlotte Hornets. I was trying to give the home team some love, but nah, Charlotte's done. If they down like that, maybe LaMelo will go off, but nah.
Yeah, I think Magic gonna take care
of
business.
Orlando they're a pretty good defensive team too. So
I just need Jalen Green to come back to earth a little bit from these 3-point attempts, because I'm seeing him shoot 40-footers like he's Steph. I'm gonna need him to dial that back, because who told that man he could shoot any of those shots? He needs to work on them corners before he works on
whoever talks to him needs to talk to Wemby as well.
Oh, absolutely. We got the Knicks and Sixers. Knicks are up 29-27. This is in Philadelphia. Second quarter pretty much just started. It's like 10 minutes, 43 seconds left right now. Who you got for this one?
I'm gonna go with the Sixers. I think Embiid's going to be. Is Embiid playing? He should be playing tonight.
He's playing 8 minutes so far. Got you 2 points, 3 assists, and 1 rebound.
Ooh.
Paul George is playing good too, by the way. He's got 11. Just throwing that out there.
Well, I'm gonna say the Sixers just because they need it. And I think Embiid's going to try to show, hey, y'all been missing me, so let me exert my dominance on this team. So he's going to come out, put him on his back, and win that.
Okay. Got 4 games left. All these games have not been played yet, although I think this Bucks game is about to start here shortly. We got the Raptors and Bucks. We got the Bucks hosting the Raptors. Do we have the Bucks beating the Raptors tonight?
I hope so, because Giannis is on my fantasy league again. I'm pro fantasy league players. But the way Milwaukee's playing, this is if I had to put money on it, I wouldn't pick either team because I don't know. But I'm gonna go Milwaukee. Where are they playing, at home or are they?
Yeah, they're at home. Milwaukee's hosting.
Okay, Milwaukee will win.
Okay, I'm low key still thinking. Well, there's a bit of information you don't know. Damian Lillard, I think it's an illness. He's not suiting up for tonight. So does that change your pick for tonight's game?
No, I think they still win. I think they actually might be better without him on the court.
That's not a bad take at all.
He's going to jack up too many shots. Let Giannis cook.
Well, Giannis definitely going to get his, but and we've definitely seen without him on the floor, without Dame on the floor, and those other guys looking shot hungry for that 3-point shot, we've seen them go crazy. So we'll see. But
yeah, that what's the name, Green or something like that?
Yeah, AJ Green, sniper.
Green, yeah,
sniper. I'm picking the Bucks for this one as well. I just think this is a good matchup for Milwaukee, and they need this double.
they definitely need it.
So I'm picking them, and this probably be a convincing game. Maybe like 10 points, 5-10 points, nothing crazy, but yeah, they'll win tonight. Then we got the Suns and Jazz. Who you got for this?
Well, actually, I don't know, because no KD. Suns should still win. Yeah, Suns should win. Are they at home?
They're away. It's the Jazz house.
I mean, the Jazz aren't terrible, but yeah, the Suns, as long as everybody shows up, they should win.
I'm gonna give it to the Suns. I'm I'm gonna go ahead and skip this last game. I'm gonna skip to this other game because this last game is the best game. But
Mhm.
Timberwolves, Trailblazers, who you got?
Mm, Come on now. Do I even have to say it? Timberwolves. I
I
mean,
thought you were about to say Trailblazers and mess with me, but
no,
but nah,
I can't
Timberwolves
even
should
do that.
definitely beat them. But all right, so we'll finish it up. We got the Mavs and the Warriors. Klay Thompson's
Ooh,
going back to the
oh,
Bay.
is that on TNT?
I don't think so. It should be.
I hope
I don't know
so.
if it is.
They better be televising that game. There's no
It
way they're
might
not.
be.
Uh,
It probably is. I'm just looking
okay,
from
so
from
yeah, that's a good one. So they're gonna be in Golden State.
Oh yeah.
I got Golden State then.
Woo.
I think it's gonna be a lot of emotions. You heard Draymond say he's gonna try to run through him. He's gonna try to hurt Clay tonight. So Clay might have to get the goons on. He might have to get Gafford and PJ Washington on Draymond tonight. So I think it's gonna be a fun physical game. I think both teams have something to prove to the other. Obviously, Clay wants to show Golden State that he can beat them. Golden State wants to show, hey, the grass isn't always greener, and we figured out a way to put somebody in your spot. So I think this one has some story to it. So I think it's going to be a good game. I'm going Golden State just because I think as a team they are better right now than the Dallas Mavericks, who
Wow.
I
Wow.
don't think Luca just hasn't shown me nothing. I said earlier that this year is Luca's MVP to lose. He hasn't looked close to an MVP level player. And Kyrie's played well for quite a few games, but PJ Washington hasn't been as good as he was with them, when they first got him last year. Gafford's going to be Gafford. Derek Lively's been pretty solid for his second season, but something about them, I didn't think they were going to be as good this season as they were last, and they're proving me right. I don't think they're that team that got to the Western Conference Finals and to the NBA Finals. And I think
Yeah.
Golden State is playing with a huge chip on their shoulders, and when you play like that, you find ways to win. And they're a team with a lot of veterans mixed in with some youth, so they're going to find ways to win no matter what.
I think this game has its potential to have another Klay Thompson stinker. And I'm
Yeah.
not trying to say this to be funny, but like in all honesty, emotions are going to be high. You also have to understand Klay Thompson is very trigger happy, right? This is a redemption game. A lot's on the line. He's trying to like embarrass them on their home floor. Like, yes, it's going to be like love and brotherly love and all that stuff, but at the same time, like he's looking to you know light up that building, right? So I just don't think he's that same player who can do that, who can give you, 11 threes like he did in the past. But, will he play okay? Like, yeah, I think he'll play okay. I don't think when I say stinker, I'm thinking he's going to get up about 10 to 12 threes tonight and he might make 3 or 4 of them. Like that. That's what I really mean. And those 3 or 4 might be impactful, but he's going to get them up for sure. Going to get them up. Luca, Kyrie, like they're gonna look for him. If he breaks the first 3, all right, we're gonna try again second quarter. Get him going, run him off
Yeah.
the screen, pin downs, whatever action you can get him on. This is gonna be Clay's game to get as many shots as the offense will allow him to get. Anything outside of that is just crazy. I do have the Warriors winning this game. They're very poised to come out and especially a motivated Steph Curry, a motivated Draymond Green. I think Steph and the boys they know what's up, and Buddy Hield. If I want to see some Buddy Hield Klay Thompson matchups, like even though
That's
both
gonna
of
be
them are kind
fun.
of abysmal on defense,
That's gonna be
I'd love
fun.
to see them both give each other some buckets. That would be good to see. And especially seeing Clay got to guard Curry. I need to see that too. I got to get my popcorn
It's
ready for that.
it's gonna
That's
be
gonna be good.
it's gonna be a fun game. I think this is what the NBA needs now. Hopefully this can help those abysmal ratings that are plaguing the NBA right now, and that can be a topic for another day. But yeah, they need stuff like this. This is stuff that kind of gets people going when it comes to early NBA action because this will be the first time they play. It won't have as much meaning the next time. So I hope people will watch this because I think both teams are good. It's got good game and a high emotion written all over it. I just want to see what Draymond does tonight. I'm interested to see what if there's going to be a lot of talk between him and Clay, or he's going to get into Clay's ear early, try to throw him off.
A legal screen, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. I want to see Steph. I think there'll be some emotion for Steph having to have his former Splash brother likely guarding him. It's going to be
No,
it's
they
gonna be
better
some
not. They
interesting.
better not put Clay on him.
Who they
Better
gonna
put
put on him?
somebody
Kyrie?
else. I'm just saying, you guard him by committee, but don't you dare, don't do Clay like
I
that.
mean,
Clay
that's
gonna
the
get
that's the
torched.
person I could. That's the only one I can see having any kind of impact.
Better put Najee Marshall on. You better put Clay on somebody else. Better put him on Buddy Hield or Wiggins. Something. Don't
Well,
put him on
yeah. I
Steph.
mean, I don't think he'll be guarding Steph all night. I think there will be portions of the game where
Get lit
he
up like a
guards him.
Christmas tree. Keep playing around.
But that's what
But
they want. I'm sure they're going to try to hunt that out so he can put some daggers on him.
oh yeah, he definitely gonna hunt Clay because Clay is slow footed and Curry will dot his I, as Draymond said. But that's pretty much gonna do it for today's episode.
Yeah,
Won't
my
keep y'all
my
too long.
camera
Got
just doesn't want
CW
to.
in the Matrix right now, so
Yeah,
it's a sign for us to go ahead and shut it down for the night. We got to get to these games, of course. Get some get some good live footage for y'all. But yeah, that'll do it for today. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, of course. We appreciate you guys for pulling up. All the viewers that came through and popped in the chat. We appreciate y'all. And Big Nige is back. Content is back, and
nice. Yep.
we're ready to roll, man. Got
Just
a lot of content for y'all. NBA season is just getting underway, and we're ready for it.
And in my faded version with my camera, I just want to say, if you can join us Friday night, we're starting a new series called Goat Talk Only. We're going to talk about the goats. Hopefully, we can pull Big Nige in one of these nights or one of these Fridays to come. This weekend, we're doing the top 10 all time. So I don't know if you want to hop on and give us your list. No, we've done your top 5, but we want to hear your top 10. And that's the pool of players that we're going to actually focus on. It won't be weekly. It'll probably be once a month or bi-weekly. But every Friday or the Fridays we do them, we want to focus on one of those GOAT top 10 players and, different topics on them. So join myself. Sports Talk Only will be on there. And we're going to pull Big Nige away from the PS5 and get him on there some nights. So make sure you come join us. It's going to be very interactive, you guys. We know how you guys get passionate about talking about some of those players, so we're going to pull you guys into that. So yeah, just come up. I'm not sure the time, but it will definitely be on this Friday. Will be our first episode, and hopefully my webcam will work with me when we do that. But yeah, we appreciate you guys for stopping by, and ready for this NBA Cup. And ready for these games. I'm about to get off and get this TV on and start watching these games. So yeah. So we appreciate you guys for all that you've done for us so far, and hopefully you guys will continue to help support the channel as we move forward into this NBA season.
All right, y'all. Till next time.
All right.
We out.